Hi, everybody. This is Cindy Clow with Anything But Routine. And I'll tell you, my life is anything but routine, especially today. And I'm excited to have on as a special guest, Rick Rassier. And I asked him if this is how you pronounce your name. How do you pronounce your name?
I have 8 siblings, and we all say it different ways. Rassier, Razier, Razier. Yeah.
Okay,
What
so I can just pick the way I want to say it, and you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
All right. So Rick is, I don't know what I would call you, but if I think of you, I always think of you as a team building guru. Like you're great at the games and getting the kids to listen with a message through the games that you play. Would you kind of agree with that, or how would you describe what you do?
You're right on with that. People a lot of times do refer to it as team building, but as performance, motivation, dealing with setbacks. I mean, it's team building on steroids. That's kind of what I call it, because I touch on so many different aspects of what it takes to be successful as an athlete and as a team. So,
Yeah, I would agree. And we've had you come in a couple of times up to our team, the Brainer Kicksters, but we've also had you come into Just for Kicks camp. I don't even know how many times, but we're excited that you're coming back this summer and you're going to be at our number of our camps, right? Our three Brainards. And also, are you going to Iowa too?
I'll be there.
At BV, Buena Vista University in Iowa. So that's going to be exciting for those kids because they've never had you down there before. So yeah, that'll be great. And when you come into camp, we usually use you like at the special session so that people can have some fun, but also, you know, be able to build their team. So I'm excited to see what you have for us this summer. Now I'm totally switching gears. I'm going to ask you, you're a kayaker, right?
Freestyle whitewater,
Yeah.
not
And
just regular, but
yeah,
yeah,
you had a near-death experience with that, didn't you?
it'll be 9 years this upcoming fall.
9 years.
Maybe.
Just briefly, just tell us what happened. It was quite unbelievable.
Well, I was in the morning. I left for Wausau, Wisconsin, 4-hour trip. It was snowflakes dropping that morning when I was driving there. Got there was cold. It's a whitewater park. They open up a dam. There's a series of 13 river features on about a 500-yard stretch. There's bleachers built into the side of the river. People come and watch. I always get on the water early, so there's not as many people. I don't have to wait in line to get into a river feature. You get into a wave feature. And I was on the water for about 2 hours, and I was cold. And I looked up by my truck. A buddy of mine was wrapped up in a blanket. I thought that looks really good right now. Looked at my watch. I thought I want to nail a phonics monkey twice before I get off the water. That's the highest scoring trick in freestyle. And I was sitting in my boat waiting my turn to get in this river feature, and my body just went bzzz. Not a heart attack. I had a cardiac arrest. Some people might know the difference. A heart attack is a circulation issue. A cardiac arrest is like grabbing a high voltage line. My body buzzed. I went over upside down. I was dead. Didn't take any water in, wasn't breathing. A couple guys next to me, they didn't really think anything of it. One of the guys knew I was working on a vertical roll. Only like 2 or 3 guys in the world can do it. It's a really hard core move. And another guy in my podcast, he talked about Rick is kind of a jokester. They figured I was just messing with him. Maybe I could hold my breath for a minute or two. Then my $450 paddle started floating down in the mainstream, so they knew something was wrong. They went after me, got me out of my boat. And this is where it gets really crazy. I mean, some people call this lucky. It was beyond a miracle. There was an ER doctor 30 feet away from me teaching a kayak class at another river feature. There was an EMT lady selling kayak gear up along the riverbank, and a nurse came down about a minute after this all happened. So they got me out of my boat, 23 minutes of regular CPR, 4 minutes of CPR, the Lucas device, once the paramedics got there, compression machines, 7 shocks from an AED. And I came back to take it to the next level.
Oh my gosh. So that had to give you an unbelievable new lease on life.
Yeah, and I tell people oftentimes I've always been really passionate about what I do, but my new life theme became every minute has a purpose.
Yep, every minute. Yeah, and I can share that with. Wow, that is crazy. So, you also were a one man volleyball team.
Yeah, I played for 34 years, played for 34 years. 20 of those years I traveled all over the country playing volleyball teams of six all by myself,
Oh,
one and six. And
but
used that as a platform to share a drug-free message in school assemblies.
I love that. So you often talk about that you have been drug free your entire life, alcohol free.
Yep, I played in bands for 7, 8 years through in college, and you see enough.
Yeah.
You see what happens when people, make some poor choices, and even driving home from band jobs, some of the car fatalities, saying stuff. My sophomore year in high school, I don't share this story too often, but I was playing at a big band job down at the Medina Ballroom. At 5 to 12, I was looking forward to playing rock around the clock, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock rock, and I had a saxophone solo. I was looking forward to just jamming some improv. And about 10, 15 feet out in front of the stage, I was dancing with another guy from the wedding party. And the groom came over and just unloaded one punch, hit his wife, and knocked her to the floor.
Instead of the person who's trying to hit.
I don't know who he was trying to hit. Maybe he was trying to hit her, but he knocked her out in one punch. A big fight broke out. The cops came. We never played another song. And I remember thinking as a sophomore in high school, I'm never going to have a drink. And I never did.
Because yeah,
So,
well, that's a neat message that you are that passionate about it and that you learned that lesson so young. And I think it's a great message to tell our athletes when you're working with them, because I always get impressed by that. That's really neat.
well, and Cindy, and maybe you've heard this, but I love that athletes are leaders. They're school. I mean, a lot of people are looking up to athletes, and I mean, I get goosebumps thinking of how they can make an impact on their student body. And since the pandemic, the use of alcohol and other drugs in high schools across the country is up 32%. The highest jump prior to the pandemic was only 5%. So you think of a 32% jump.
Holy, that's terrible.
So,
What are some simple, I know your games that you play, you always say take it to the next level, and you would challenge teams, how do you take it to the next level? And I feel as a coach, that's a constant challenge. How do you take it to the next level? Because, that's what we're constantly trying to do to get where we have to get. And is there a simple game or an idea that maybe I'm putting you on the spot that you could give coaches to try to instill in their kids how they can take it to the next level?
one game that comes to mind, I call it popcorn. I have a big container of wiffle balls. I don't know, 75 wiffle balls. They line up behind a line. I dump the wiffle balls out, and then I time them to see how fast they can get the wiffle balls back into the container. It's inevitable they're going to say, better than that? Well, or they'll say, how was that? Was that good? And I'm like, well, what do you think? Are you satisfied? No. Right? So they do it again. I do it again. The most I've ever had a team do it was 18 times in a row.
They wanted to keep doing it.
I talk a lot about, try to get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And my t-shirts that I give out, I print about 4,000 shirts a year. They say, take it to the next level. And underneath that, it says, celebrate progress.
Oh, I love that.
I think that's to get a little bit better. But a lot of times people are satisfied and they have no idea how much better they could be. And then to do that, to be engaged in athletics, kids, they want that W, they want to win, but they oftentimes have no idea what level of performance they're striving for. How good do you want to be at what you do? What does it look like?
Right.
So
I
you watch people who are doing, go ahead.
No, I think you're spot on. I was just talking to a coach the other day that said her team tends to be jealous of teams that are winning, but then they're not wanting to put the work in to get where they want to go. And I said,
Yeah.
well, culture, you're going to have to work on culture before the other thing. But I don't think a lot of teams, I'll take my team for an example, that people sometimes go, oh, Brainerd, you guys are so good or whatever. And I'm like, well, we're good because we don't settle, and we're good because we always do the extra a little more. I laughed at my kids. We won our section this year to make it to state in kick, and we got second in jazz. I think we got second in jazz. Look, you don't even remember. It's not about the wins. It's about going. But the next day, my kids wanted to practice. We had sections on a Friday night. They wanted to practice on Saturday. And I'm like, you guys, you can take a day off. And they're like, nope, we've stayed in 2 weeks. We want to be, we don't want to leave anything. We don't want to leave anything up to chance. We want to put it all on the table. And I love that. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, it doesn't happen by accident.
That's,
It's people don't understand that, like who was quoted as saying, I don't know, that well done is better than well said. A
oh,
lot of people, a lot of people, yeah, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then, you got to do it, take the initiative. I mean, most athletes know one or two or three or four or five things that they could do that would make them better, but do they do it?
right. No,
No.
no. Yeah,
Isn't that, I mean, I'm
I like say that
64.
again. Well done is better than well said. I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I can't think of the quote I'm thinking of, but it's kind of like, let your action be your noise, not your words. I'm saying that wrong, but show us instead of tell us, show us. And that's what's going to make you an outstanding athlete. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to have you on for a few minutes just to talk about these upcoming camps, and we're excited for the kids to meet you in Iowa and in Minnesota, and I'll put your email on here if anybody wants to reach out to you directly to find out how they can have you come into their practices, whether it be dance or volleyball or basketball or football. You do it all. You work with all kinds of teams, so that's exciting, and we're excited to have you work this summer with us. So have a great day, Rick, and thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, Cindy.